Yeah, so the American healthcare system really fucking sucks. Okay. I live in the state of California. Earlier this year, I used to be on Medi-Cal and I got priced out because I make too much money now. And anyway, so I've been struggling to make sure that I don't lose my migraine medication. At the beginning of the year, my migraines were so bad that they were lasting 32 to 40 days each, with maybe a week of relief before another one would start. And they were so debilitating that I don't even know how I made it through work most of the time, because half the time I couldn't see straight. I couldn't think. The pain was so bad, the lighting, literally everything. So fast forward to March. I finally got on a new medication called Emgality. The manufacturer is the Lilly Pharmaceuticals. That medication has absolutely changed my life. My migraines are pretty much gone, absolutely gone. I may get 1 or 2 migraine days every 5 or 6 weeks. It's an injectable medication, which most people don't know this about me, but I have trypanophobia, which is the fear of needles. So for me to even start the medication, it had to get pretty bad for me to even consider something like an injectable. I got home from work. That's why I'm all disheveled and house is a mess, whatever. I got a letter from Western Health Advantage stating that they don't want to cover Emgality for me because apparently they don't think there's enough of a need for it. Wait a minute. So my doctor, who went to fucking medical school, can say, oh yes, this person needs this medication. But yet some asshole sitting in an office on a computer looking at spreadsheets all day gets to say, oh, does that person really need that medication? Well, you know what, dude? Yes, I do. I need this medication to survive. They don't understand why my migraines are so bad. I've had MRIs, I've had, all the imaging and everything, and the only thing they can think of is, they think what triggered it was my separation from my ex when I left. Anyway, that's a whole different story. But WHA, I'm warning you. I will get this medication. Some asshole sitting in an office. How do we even come to that as a society? The United States has its doctors spend 10 plus years in medical school, no matter what type of doctor they are, right? And yet our insurance, somebody who works in insurance that really doesn't understand the medical side of things can just say, oh no, they don't need it. What the fuck is wrong with this country? What is wrong with this? Like, I can't not have that medication. I would end up probably becoming fully disabled if my migraines were to go back to what they were. I was talking with my doctor and she was amazing, and she said, I've never heard of that medication or any migraine medication working that well for somebody. The WHA says, oh, well, why don't you try a different medication like Imovig or Ajovy? And I asked my doctor, and she said, the chance of them working even remotely as well as the Emgality has worked for you is slim to none. She said, I will help fight to make sure you get the medication. So guess who's going to wake up tomorrow morning and start calling WHA, Western Health Advantage? Because this is stupid. This is bullshit. I bet you if some of these people that work high up in all of these healthcare companies even had a glimpse into life of somebody with chronic illness, no matter what kind of chronic illness. I don't know, maybe you have some chronic illness like type 1 diabetes, or, maybe fibromyalgia or chronic migraines or something, to make them sit back and go, well, shit, maybe, just maybe, doctors should have a say. Our country is so screwed up on so many levels. And yet we, as a society that says, oh, this is the greatest country in the world, we can't even get medication that our doctor wants us to have because some dumbass is worried about a spreadsheet. Some asshole is worried about their bottom line. What do you mean? Do you know how much money pharmaceutical companies make? How much money these insurance companies make? Not even per year, just per quarter. Per quarter. In some cases, it's billions per quarter. And yet, they can't, it makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense. And I refuse to not have the medication. Like right now, the even reason that I got my medication this month was because, so my sister takes the same medication. I ended up having to take her medication so that I would have it. So now my sister doesn't have it until next month. So she's out a month now. Hopefully I can get this squared away before we need it again. Because I refuse. I have finally gotten my brain to not freak out when I have to take this medication. Phobias are a weird thing. Very weird. And I've always had a phobia of needles. Always. Ever since I can remember. And even the last couple of months now, I've finally gotten to a point now where I haven't had a major meltdown over having this medication that I know that I need. And WHA wants me to try a different one. So then that means I have to start over with my brain and try to convince my brain that my phobia won't kill me, which I know it won't. But if you've ever had a phobia, it takes over your life in a really odd way, and everyone's phobias are different. It's a phobia of needles really sucks, especially when a lot of medications, especially nowadays, are needles. And I have spent months working over my fear of one needle medication. And people are like, oh, well, then that's great. You've done it for all. No. That's not how my phobia works. It's per medication. So if I was to ever have another medication, I have to start that over in my head of oh, okay, this medication isn't going to hurt me. Right? So there's another reason I'm pissed. Right? Because, they don't want to cover it at all. And I can buy it out of pocket. It's like $800, $850. GoodRx got it down to $650. And then I'm actually looking at getting in touch with the Lilly Pharmaceuticals to see what that would cost me if I can get it down. I've seen that they get it down a lot lower than even that. So this is going to be an interesting saga because I'm not going to let this go. I'm not going to let this go. When I was on Medi-Cal, it would have been covered. It would have been covered. It would have been fine. Thank you, California, for the months of March, April, May, June, July for the coverage for that medication. They were able to give me some extra when my insurance changed. So thank you very much for that. Western Health Advantage. You guys really suck. Now, obviously, insurance people have to make their own money too. I get that. But really, guys? Really? Like, you're just going to, let's see. Your evidence of coverage defines medically necessary as a service that WHA determines is appropriate and necessary for the diagnosis or treatment of the member's medical condition following professionally recognized standards of care. Is not mainly for the convenience of the member or the member's physician or other providers, and is the most appropriate supply or level of service for the injury or illness. Additionally, your EOC states that a small number of drugs, regardless of tier level, may require prior authorization. My doctor wants me on this medication. I need this medication. So, guess what? They've messed with the wrong girlie here. If I have to, I will call every damn day, speak to every single person at WHA over and over and over and over until this is fixed. Because I did the steps they asked me to, because when I originally transferred, they said, oh, well, you need to have a doctor that's in our, coverage. Say, hey, you need the medication. Okay, we'll cover it. So I did that. And they're still denying it. So, yeah, I'm pissed. And you know what? I will get that medication. So, guess who's going to call tomorrow before I go to work and talk to them again about this? Yeah. A lot of people say, oh, America this, America that, America this, America that. Okay, well, here's the thing, though. We're not so great anymore. We haven't been great in a while. We're really not great right now. Looking at you, Orange Cheeto. I digress. It absolutely boggles my mind that doctors have to fight this too. They went to school for this, to treat their patients and to help their patients. And what does a dude looking at spreadsheets all day do in a place like WHA or Cigna or United Healthcare or any of the other places? Like, those people don't go to medical school. They don't. None of them do. And yet, we're in a position where we listen to those people over doctors? Like, how does that make sense? It doesn't. Our healthcare system is so screwed up unless you have money. And even if you have money, it's still weird. Like, compared to other nations of the world, Speaking of, here's one for you. You know how in the U.S., when, cats and dogs have kittens and puppies, you're not supposed to take them from their parents or from the mom for like 8 weeks? Why is it then that women have to go back after 6 weeks? And that's the thing is, in the U.S., there's no actual federally mandated paid maternity leave. Not at all. Even Iran, and I'm not kidding, even Iran has 6 weeks of paid leave. Now, if you look at the Nordic countries, they have, I think it's 18 months split between both parents or, something like that. And yet, this country is funneling money faster than anything. So, ICE apparently has more money than ever. We're giving more money to them than we are to the military. And yet there's no money for universal health care? What the fuck is that about? And why the hell are we painting the wall black? What's the point? That's just wasted money. Anyway, I'm going off a tangent now, but that's the thing. Our healthcare system is so screwed up that I cannot get medication that my doctor wants me to have because it completely changed my quality of life. I mean, I think about having to deal with a migraine lasting 40 days. I mean, and I still had to work. I can't imagine going back to that. I can't. I was sucking down Red Bulls and Excedrin more than anything else just to try to make it through. And a lot of days I couldn't, even with that. I was taking a daily maintenance medication that wasn't working. I was taking an emergency medication that wasn't working. And I don't understand. I don't understand. Our healthcare system needs some serious help. WHA, fuck you. And I am going to get that medication covered. I will call every damn day if I have to. Every day. You mark my words.